Hi, my name is Jay Query. That's Derek Schultz. This is Query and Schultz, the incredibly creatively and appropriately named program on the ISC Sports Network. And it is Pacers and Racers officially. And we are hoping that the Indianapolis 500 practice week goes more smoothly than did our Open, and that the Pacers continue to go more smoothly in games 5 and 6 than they did in 1 and 2, and the way that they're playing in 3 and 4.
Finally, we get to have a show coming off a Pacers playoff win and not a loss. Thank God. Because the last 3 shows that we've done, Pacers lose game 1 to Milwaukee, show. Pacers lose game 5 to Milwaukee, show. Pacers lose game 1 to the Knicks, show. So literally the last 3 weeks. Like, I had a tweet last night, like, are you guys going to, change up what you say? And I'm like, guys, we had to recap after a loss each time, you know, and now it's a much different feeling.
It is, and it does feel like what's interesting to me about the Pacers and Knicks series is at the outset of it, in games 1 and 2 in particular, and for that matter, even for a great part of game 3, it was like New York is out hustling Indiana in every area, and they have like 7 guys. But it's a marathon, not a sprint. And that attrition and that, you know, for New York, which happened before this series, I mean, they already were, you know, no Julius Randle, and then Anunoby gets hurt, Bogdanovich. So they're banged up to begin with. But they are really limping at this point. I mean, Hartenstein got hurt as well, and I mean, it looked to me like I thought he had a separated shoulder.
Ooh.
I mean, he got up and was kind of running like this, and then I watched defensively. He couldn't extend. He couldn't go up for rebounds. They gave it a go with him for like 7 minutes and then pulled him. So, New York's running thin. So right now it looks like advantage Indiana. But, Derek, that's why it's a 7-game series. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's funny how much things change. I mean, the start of the fourth quarter on Friday night, Pacers is down 9, and I'm getting tweets about Carl should be fired, and I can't believe this is happening and all of that. And then, you know, even after the Pacers won on Friday, I think the general feeling was that they escaped, right? Like, it felt like, you know, the Nembhard prayer, like that's a great shot, but, you know, you got a little good fortune. But then what happened on Sunday was that the Pacers, I think, really seized the moment and seized the opportunity. They smelled blood in the water, right? They knew the Knicks weren't able to land the knockout blow, so they came back and really, even though this is a 2-2 series, Jake, I'd argue the Pacers are firmly in control right now. I mean, they've got to be considered the favorite, right?
Yeah, except for the 2 of the last 3 are in the Garden.
Yeah, I get it, and I guess you say,
I mean, you got to win a road game, right?
Jalen Brunson's probably not going to be as bad as he was in Game 3 and Game 4, even though he's hobbled as well. You have to win a road game, but I think the Pacers are in a very, very good spot right now to win 2 out of 3. I don't think that that's asking too much. I think what we've seen in this series is that the Pacers, the bench play is sustainable, right? More often than not, you're going to be good. If Tyrese Halliburton's going to play like this the last 3 games, remember how much we dogged him on the last show, and he deserved it, and now he's really responded. I know the numbers don't look great from Game 4. 20 points doesn't sound great when you're just reading it off a sheet, but Halliburton came out swinging. Pacers didn't have to land any other blows. That game was over at the 7-minute mark of the second quarter. I mean, that game was donezo. The Knicks aren't built to come back from 30 points down. So I can't say enough about where this team is. You know, you kind of have done this, and it's a credit to you. Like, you've done this whole, like, let's step back and take a moment and appreciate where the Pacers are. It's really hard to do within a single playoff series, but, Jake, the Pacers are a win away from playing a clincher for the Eastern Conference Finals at home.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. And I understand that the Garden's going to be nuts and amped up, and Brunson's going to be better and all of that, but still, like, no one could have imagined that the Pacers would be in a position like this even a month ago.
They are way ahead of schedule. Way ahead of schedule. And, you know, they clearly pushed in, I mean, the Siakam trade, you know, to make it happen, and Siakam's been very good for them. I personally think, and that's a whole different talk show we'll get to, in terms of how much you give on extension for Pascal Siakam. I have hesitation there more than do others. I think he's a wonderful player, but we can get to that at a later period. But when they made that trade, it was clear that they said, you know what, our timeline, instead of doing this slow, like we feel like we have pieces right now where we're ready to push in. That's what they did, and here they are. And, you know, it's interesting when you look at the East, Derek, there are other teams in the East. New York's one of them that when healthy and have all their pieces, they also were going to have a 2 to 3 year window where they're going to be very competitive. Boston clearly is in the middle of that right now. Cleveland has good pieces. Orlando has good young pieces. Atlanta just got the number 1 overall pick, although Trae Young may be on his way out, so we'll see what happens there. But
it's a bad draft.
But the point being that it's not unlike the AFC in football. If you got to have a good young quarterback, the Pacers have that in Tyrese Halliburton. You got to have a good receiver or a second. They have that in Pascal Siakam. So do other teams in the conference. But it's very exciting for Indiana because of Nembhard and Nesmith and the T.J. McConnell, the way he's played. The auxiliary pieces have all played really well.
Yeah, and Halliburton has erased the advantage that they had with Brunson in the other series so far. He's matched Brunson. I know Game 1 was a disaster and Brunson was great in Game 1, but Game 3 and Game 4, no question, Halliburton was better.
Right.
And you can say what you want about injuries. Halliburton's banged up too. I mean, you saw him at the end of Game 3. He was limping off the court and limping off the podium for the press conference as well. So, again, Stars League, and the Pacers' star is rising to the occasion. So just like we were hard on him last week, I want to give him his flowers because he deserves it.
One of the things that I noticed in Game 3 that was not necessarily the case in Game 4. In Game 3, which the Pacers won, obviously, but it seemed to me that there were more offensive possessions for the Pacers where they would go for flair as opposed to intention. And let me explain. Halliburton or Siakam or Toppin, there's an opening to the lane, and instead of just going and laying it in or going for the highest percentage, it's at the last minute. And part of this is just the defensive, PTSD. Mm-hmm. But the lay-in has to go this way. And then a lay-in or, a big roll off the glass. That kind of. New York, on the other hand, when they had an opening to the lane, they're going and they're scoring. Head down, I'm going right to the hole and I'm going to score. Or I'm stopping immediately for a pull-up jumper. And it just seemed like New York's offensive possessions were very business-oriented and Indiana's were very flair-oriented. And that kept New York in the game. And then, they were able to shoot the ball from the outside. Last night when I looked up at one point, or yesterday, and New York was 3 of 24 from three-point range. Yeah. And I went, well, there's your game.
Yeah, and I just think the Pacers deserve some more credit for ramping it up defensively. I think that's really what's changed this series. They've had offensive droughts. They had the offensive drought in the third quarter of Game 2, which allowed the Knicks back in. Third quarter of Game 3, which the Knicks actually seized control of the game before the fourth quarter came back. But ever since the fourth quarter of Game 3, Pacers' defense has been much, much better. And I think that that's changed the whole tenor of the series. The Pacers don't need to be great defensively. In fact, they're incapable of being great defensively. They just need to be okay. You know what I mean? They just need to not be bad. And when they're bad defensively and the Knicks are dropping $130, that's why I had a problem with the officiating talk and all that stuff after Game 2. It's that, look, you gave up 130 points to the Knicks, who don't have all the bullets in the gun, right? You missed Brunson for the whole second quarter in Game 2, and you missed Anunoby for the rest of that game as well, and they still scored $130. Pacers defense is really what's kind of, I think, changed the series. And the adjustments, give Rick Carlisle credit. Nesmith on Brunson. And again, we go back to the officiating and you show, like, when you're at home, it just kind of changes. You get a little bit more of a break. I don't think that Nesmith guarding Brunson at the Garden is officiated the same way as Nesmith guarding Brunson in Indy. I don't.
That's probably true.
And I think you saw that in Game 3. That was a very physical game. And look, the Knicks were whining. Everybody whines. It's the playoffs. Whine. But Nesmith was allowed to be physical, and the Pacers took advantage of that. And that matchup has been better for them. And then Nembhard on DiVincenzo.
Can I give you one thing that is as I've gotten older, I've gotten less neurotic. I worry about things less.
Yeah.
Right? You notice this, right?
I think I worry about things more.
Really?
But I'm a father. So.
Okay. I don't harp and obsess on the minor details.
Yeah.
Like I used to.
Okay.
But, what Pacer player, Derek
McKee.
Currently is the one that I champion the most.
The Pacer player that you champion the most currently?
Who's my favorite Pacer?
I honestly don't know.
Aaron Nesmith.
Okay. I don't think I knew that.
Love him.
Yeah.
Because I love guys that, he just does his role.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a really good player.
Yeah. Not worried about getting credit.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's wearing, yesterday, he comes out on the floor, and I do one of these. He has on blue, orange, and white shoes. Now, you can't do that, right?
Did he wear them during the game?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know this.
He had Nick-colored shoes on.
Weird.
You can't do that, right?
No.
Isn't that a fashion faux pas? I know that we're now
That's
in the era where
strange.
guys just wear whatever shoe they want.
Yeah, that's a little odd.
Can
I tell you too? Neurotic and old man thing. I know the NBA allows this. The Knicks should never wear home white in Indiana, and the Pacers should never wear home white in New York. Like it just shouldn't happen. Okay.
It's fair.
It shouldn't happen. You shouldn't wear your home jerseys in a road playoff.
Okay, while we're at it, here's my last one. You ready? I've done this one before and lost because people get off the cloud.
Okay.
Quit yelling at clouds, I should say. The Pacers play what? They are what team? The what Pacers?
Indiana.
Okay. Then why do they have those jerseys that say Indy? The Pacers did
the city edition, right?
Okay. Fair. What do the city editions for the Minnesota Timberwolves say?
I don't know.
Or the city edition for Utah, what do they say?
I also don't know.
My point being, the Indiana Pacers have gone on a fairly elaborate and detailed and intentional marketing campaign within the last decade to market that it's Indiana's game, it's Indiana's team. In 49 other states, it's basketball, but this is Indiana, your Pacers. They've gone up and tried to market to South Bend and Evansville and whatever else, and to let people know they're the Indiana Pacers. It's all defeated when you wear a jersey that says Indy.
Yeah.
They're not the Indianapolis Pacers.
But I'm the other way because you mentioned the marketing. The teams here are marketed for people that live in New Pal and take the same vacation in Destin every single year. And it's gee golly, aw shucks, hop in your truck and come watch the Colts play football for the shoe. Yep, gee golly, we're blue collar and gold swagger. We're blue collar in Indiana. We don't care about what the big city folks say. We come out in Indiana and gee golly, we're going to work hard. We're going to out hustle you. Especially for the NBA, which is more of an urban-centric game.
Jerseys.
I want them to cater towards the aspect. Indianapolis is a big city. It's not like Podunkville. It's not Omaha. And I've always felt like they've kind of they have these companies come in from New York and LA, and they think Indiana's Nebraska. So they market the teams based on everybody lives in a giant cornfield, and that's not the case in Indiana. Yes, a lot of people live in a giant cornfield in Indiana, and I love those people. Don't get me wrong. Please don't send me hate mail or anything like that. I love our friends that even have that accent and listen to country music, and I like Destin. Destin's cool. But the whole idea of only marketing to those people has always bothered me.
The Minnesota Timberwolves city jerseys say Minnesota.
Okay. I know Milwaukee's say Cream City, but then again, they're called Milwaukee. They're not called the Wisconsin
Milwaukee's
Bucks.
this year say Milwaukee.
Okay.
Who's the other one? Oh, Utah?
Yeah.
The Utah Jazz say Utah.
Okay. You got a real problem with this, don't
I
you?
do.
Wow. Pacers 5-0 this
now, Golden
season
State does say San Francisco.
at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. They have not lost at home. Do you know the last time they lost at home? You go to every game. Do you remember the last time? Jake basically sits on the bench, the Pacers bench, for all these games.
The last time the Pacers
Lost at home. I don't know. You don't go to every game. Maybe you missed this
That is
game.
correct. I don't go to every game.
Day after St. Patrick's Day to Cleveland. So it's been almost 2 months since the Pacers
Really?
lost at home. Yeah, but actually by the time they play Friday night will be the 17th. It'll be almost exactly 2 months since
Those
the
are
Pacers
bad
lost
omens,
at home.
Derek. You're jinxing it.
See, now you say you don't care, but you get fan brain a little bit, right? When the Pacers get this close, you start to get nervous. I would say that, look, it's not a cinch, right? Because you still have to win one at the Garden. I'd say the Pacers have a 60-40 advantage right now.
Here is the thing, Derek.
And I don't think that's a stretch at all.
You're talking about just the fandom and the rivalry and whatever else. Do you want to know the most unlikable thing about the 2024 New York Knicks?
Trying to draw fouls?
Nope.
I don't know. The fan base is pretty obnoxious.
They are that.
Yeah.
The most unlikable thing about the 2024 New York Knicks is that they really don't have anybody unlikable. Josh Hart, maybe. Josh Hart, maybe. Outside of that, Jalen Brunson. Like, Jalen Brunson hit shots in Game 3. I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at the fans, and literally everybody you could tell is like, that guy's a heck of a player, man.
Yeah.
You know, and he's very classy. And
people don't like him digging for fouls, I think. So that's
but every
part
team
of it.
does that,
yeah.
right?
I mean, there are guys that do it more than Harden did that for a long time in his career. No, I think you're mostly right. There's not like a John Starks. There's certainly not a LeBron level guy that you hate.
I mean, but more so, Anthony Mason, Charles Oakley,
Ben Wallace,
Sprewell, Ben Wallace type players. They don't have any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I
you
mean,
guys say you hated Sprewell?
What's that?
You hated Sprewell?
I think Sprewell was disliked in general because of the Carlissimo thing.
Yeah. I don't remember, even though he was a great player, I don't remember Sprewell having like a whole bunch of like exemplary games against the Pacers, though.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. He was on
like
teams,
Allen Houston had some really big games.
He was
against
on
the
teams
Pacers
that were thorns for sure. But and Larry Johnson, just
because of the shot and
but
that.
There have been players that even Chris Dudley.
Oh, yeah. Chris Childs would get mouthy, and he was a backup.
Chris Dudley was just a big.
People didn't like Chris Childs.
But my point being, it is a pretty likable roster. I mean, Josh Hart hits big shots, and Jalen Brunson just gets his work done. And I mean, OG Anunoby played at Indiana.
Yeah, nobody dislikes OG Anunoby, I don't think. So
right.
Yeah, you're right about that. But hopefully they send this
What are you looking at?
Unlikable team at home. I'm trying to check my stopwatch because I'm trying to make sure that we're on target.
No,
here.
it looks like you're checking emails.
I'm just checking emails. I got my show prep up.
I
got my show prep up.
What is your show prep?
This feels like it happened forever ago, but we mentioned the adjustments that Rick Carlisle made. Also, does that post-game press conference after Game 2, I think he kind of knew what he was doing. Did that accomplish? Do you think that accomplished what he wanted it to?
I think what Rick Carlisle did in getting fined and calling out the officials was twofold. Number one, it sent a message to his team that he had their back.
I think it rallied the troops a little bit, yeah.
But the other thing it did is it kind of put the onus on them. Okay, guys, I'm going to put this out there. Now you need to have my back and back me up.
Yeah. And I think Game 3 showed that. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that there were, huge officiating gaffes like what we saw in Game 1. There was some really bad ones that went against the Pacers in Game 1. But in Game 3, clearly the Pacers were allowed to be more physical. I mean, you saw it. I think it was smart. I think it was smart for him to – the referees, whether they say it or not, and they're objective, right? They're not trying to call it one way or the other, but it goes in the back of your mind that
right.
I think he was officiating. And part of it is the home and away split. He can miss me with the small market thing. I think that was nonsense. But the rest of the press conference was right on the money. I don't blame him for doing it the way that he did. I don't think Game 2 had nothing to do with the officiating. Pacers got beat. But I think a lot of that stemmed from the way Game 1 was called, and I think the heart shove on Halliburton is what put him over the edge. I think he was real upset about it, and he should have been, because Halliburton's playing hurt and he's got the back injury. And
it was a pretty blatant shove.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you miss it. And then maybe the double dribble overturned too, because you saw the kickball that didn't get overturned. I can understand where Carlisle was with that.
Bottom line, Derek, is this. Is Game 5 the team that wins the series?
Yes. Yeah. Especially if it's the Pacers.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm going to say yeah, and then a Game 7 at the Garden, that you automatically give the Knicks 10 points, 8 to 10 points, I think, just for that. It's a huge advantage.
Game 7, Ewing.
Yeah, no, I understand. The Pacers have done it
roll.
before. Yeah.
Ba-bonk. Ba-bonk. Dale Davis rebound, and the Pacers have won Game 7.
Yeah, they've done it before. But you remember another clincher, Game 6 in 99, and Reggie shoots 3 of 18, and Allen Houston scores 34, and, you have those two. So
that was this year, right?
Hard place, yeah. Pacers lost 2 games at Indiana that had nothing to do with the 4-point play. Was that series.
Yeah, that team gagged for sure.
Yeah.
Do you know the leading scorer on the Pacers 2000 team?
Jalen Rose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. That was his best year as a pro. Yeah.
Great trivia question.
Yeah, he was really good. That 2000 team was not as good as the 98 team, but that was I think pound for pound, that was pretty clearly their second best team, right?
Yeah,
that was better than the 94 team and the 95 team.
Yeah, 98 was great.
04 would be the other one that would be in that conversation, I guess, because I don't think I'd take any of the Hibbert George
I would
teams.
agree with that.
Maybe 14 before February, before Roy Hibbert broke in 2014.
Yeah, what happened
take that
there?
team? I don't know. No one will ever know. And I don't think all that stuff about his girlfriend or whatever, and the Evan Turner trade. I don't think that or not just the Evan Turner trade, but the Andrew Bynum trade.
Yeah. Did you see Evan Turner had some pointed words for Paul George recently, though?
I saw, yeah.
Where he basically said that Paul George doesn't show up in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, which is interesting because Turner went number 2 in that draft and George went 10. If you were to redraft that draft, Turner would, go way back. I mean, he was a disappointment as an NBA player. He was okay, but he was
just a guy, right?
Yeah, he wasn't anybody really in the league. He was just, I don't want to say nobody, but he stuck around for a while.
What do we have on the big show today, Derek?
We have a lot to get to still. We've got Love That Play, which is a very difficult call because I know that everybody's thinking of one play, but I'm thinking of another one that I think is the 1B to the 1A. You're making a face. Okay, so you're in the group. You're not thinking this through. Caitlin Clark about to make her WNBA debut, her real one. Winner of the week. We'll talk a little racing as well, and we've got quick hits. But first, let's get to our hoagie and hero of the week.
Okay.
Brought to you by our friends.
Did you see Darren King got like a lifetime supply of hoagies, Hoagie and Haas?
Here is the Always Sunny. So what I have here is some shaved turkey. It's really delicious, and it's chopped up real fine. I like it like that instead of the slices. Munster, underrated sandwich cheese. We've got a little horsey mayo, L&T, which are 2
tomato
big pillars of all of her sandwiches, plus banana pep, peppadoo pep, and bacon bits. That's a secret ingredient there, bacon bits in the sandwich. Always Sunny.
Derek, it's not really a secret ingredient. You can see it, and then you very clearly taste it.
It is.
Can you take a normal bite?
I think at worst, it is their 3rd best sandwich. And I think you could argue this is the best sandwich on the entire menu. Hog is still number 1 for me. Because it's the Italian. I go back to my roots. East Coast and all that.
Your roots?
Yeah.
You're German.
I know, but I got a lot of Italian friends. Italiano. This is a really, really good sandwich. Yeah, Joe Capuano. Hey. Joe Capuano says, he was loosely connected. They had a dog that was a pit mix named Capone. And you would not mess with that dog. And we also have our Hoagie Hero and Brew of the Week. This is from our friends at Chili Water. This is the Lima Ranchera.
Love it.
They have a lot of really good, Mexican lager type beers. We have the Mama Tribe last week, which is the dark Mexican lager. They have the Santeria, which is really good as well, which is more like kind of a Corona type. This one with the little lime sweetness.
Great.
Really good. This is a great summer beer, and we're basically in the summer months now. I put all the winter coats up in the closet this weekend. It's like my favorite thing of the year, favorite time of the year to do that. And I don't always do that before the race. Sometimes practice week can be cold.
Like that one time when it was chilly at the race, and I went and you were camping out and you had a Snuggie. And then you left and went home at 10 o'clock.
2013, the high temperature, I think, was 61. And that's cold for Memorial Day weekend. 61.
Well, that was when you used to camp, right?
Yeah.
The Coke lot?
Yep.
And then you went home at 10 o'clock.
We did the show from Gasoline Alley all that year in the Firestone garage, and we wore fleeces, remember? It was the highs were in the 50s that entire week. That was in my 20 years in Indiana, 2013 was the coolest Indy 500 practice and week and all that. But the problem, and I don't want to say the R word, the problem for this week doesn't look to be the temps. It looks to be the
right. Now,
I don't want to jinx it.
Derek,
precipitation.
I think the most fun eras that we've had doing this show, and the one that the most people come up to talk to me about, is the number of years that we were at the Firestone Garage. Mm-hmm. Just sitting in the Firestone Garage and the people that we met and the Rice Brothers. And remember the photo of the Rice Brothers? Lovely.
Pooping.
Huh?
Or pooping.
Should we should get them to put the – yeah, let's do that.
I don't want to do that.
See if I can find that.
I don't want to do that. No, Sean and JD are overwhelmed in there. I don't want to.
Next week we'll have the Rice Brothers photo.
Yeah, we can do that next week. But
Fabulous.
I agree with you. And to have the Pacers as well, there's just something special about it. This is weird, and this is maybe an unpopular take. because clearly there's more attention on the Colts, right? The Colts have a bigger, larger, and a more national fan base and presence. But I would argue, and this is subjective, this is just me speaking, I don't think there's anything like a Pacers playoff run. I just think that it's almost like the genuine joy that people have when the Pacers are competitive and go deep. It's almost like happy to be there times 500. And no pun intended with the 500 coming up. With the Colts, it's always you're expecting, and I guess there's a little bit of this with the Pacers as well. You're expecting the other shoe to drop. Like you're nervous, like, oh, are they going to fail here? With the Pacers, it's almost like let the good times roll, baby.
Derek, a big part of it is if the Pacers are making a playoff run, it means that the weather is nice outside, and all of a sudden you're able to go to a Pacer game and have dinner downtown and have a beer downtown, and people are walking around in Millen and Georgia Street, and it's nice outside. It's wonderful.
I think that's fair. I think what the Peyton Manning era did was that it almost like became an expectation that the Colts were going to get in the playoffs and win a couple games and contend, whereas with the Pacers, it still feels like a moment that you have to seize and take advantage of, you know? I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. Hero of the week, by the way, it's Halliburton. It's Halliburton. The bench has been great. There have been Obi Toppin's had a tremendous series. TJ McConnell's been fantastic. Neesmith has really bounced back after two kind of forgettable games in Game 1 and Game 2. Miles Turner's had a great postseason. God, Miles Turner's played at a really high level. But it's Halliburton. You know, we had the conversation about him last week. We were hard on him. Maybe overly harsh, but that's what you get as a star. Since then, almost 30 points per game in the last 3 games. He's hit 17 threes. He's turned it on when they've needed him. Stars League, stars rising to the occasion. Pacers can't win this series without him playing at a high level. In the last 3 games, he's played at a high level.
Should I give a Lima Ranchera toast to him?
Sure. You can do that.
Fabulous.
Mm-hmm. Great player, and first playoffs, and he's showing out a little bit. So he's raising the team up along with him as well. We come back on the show. We have, by the way, catering for Hoagies and Hops. If you're catering a race party, if you're not going to the race, hoagiesandhops.com. Highly recommend. And then Chili Water Brew. Get out on the porch, on the patio.
Oh, man, this beer right here has got race written all over it.
It's a great patio beer. It's a great race beer. It's a great outside beer, period. We got Love That Play to get to. And Caitlin Clark gearing up for her WNBA debut. That comes your way next here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Tonight.
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Query and Schultz. ISC Sports Network alongside Jake Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Thanks to Bailey & Wood. Trying to remember the phone number now. I had the Love phone number in my head. 855-350-HOME. Bailey & Wood Financial Group, AWFG.com.
How long have we been doing this show?
I know, but I have so many phone numbers. I almost said 353-2141.
No, that's Love Heating.
I know.
Here's what is so simple. Okay? You're watching this program. You're listening to this program. You're thinking about buying a new home. Found a home that you really like. You love the way it looks on the outside, needs a little work on the inside, and not sure necessarily how you're going to. It's an older home. No problem. You go to Bailey & Wood, 855-350-HOME, right?
Right.
You go to Bailey & Wood and you say, I need the best mortgage rate, and I want to do it with a company that is based here in Indiana, that's committed to Indiana. I want to keep my money in Indiana. I want some of the money to go to help charities. Boom. Bailey and Wood, 855-350-HOME. You buy the home. Then you notice, the basement, and the wife really doesn't like the bathroom the way it is right now. No problem. Chateau Kitchens is there for you, right?
Yep, that's Bailey and Wood.
You get Chateau Kitchens to
right
help
there.
you out in that regard, right there, okay?
Right there. Mm-hmm.
So Chateau Kitchens, and you say to yourself, I need to make sure.
I need to make my home beautiful.
No, I need to make sure that I'm strong enough to help out the folks at Chateau Kitchens.
That's right.
And so they
Look at that.
are
Look at
going to
those
say,
shoulders.
well, you could always have some
Very
milk
strong.
from the American Dairy Association. And you're like, no, and milk does a body good, and that's wonderful. And they're like,
No milk out of those.
Milk tastes so great, you can just sit and drink it and watch us work, and we're going to help redo everything.
Yep.
And then while the guys are doing it, and gals from Chateau Kitchens, they're going to say, the one thing about doing your kitchen, which we love doing, is it is a little warm in here. And you're going to say, well, that's because we haven't gotten the new air conditioning unit installed yet, but we will call Love Heating and Air at 317-353-2141. And they'll say that's a great idea because, especially in the older homes, that's their specialty. They've been around for over 100 years.
Yeah.
And then you're going to
1920.
get done, and you're going to say, you know what, our kitchen looks great, our house looks great, it's nice and cool in here. We should have our friends over for a cold beer and maybe a meal to watch the Pacer game. So you call Hoagies and Hops, and then you get chili water right there, and you have the beer, and everybody's happy.
How many phone numbers do you know by heart?
A lot.
Actually, you're a different generation, so maybe that's harder to ask. I think I know like 5.
I can tell
I know
you,
my wife's.
Christian John Love, I know their phone number. I know their childhood phone number. I can't say it on the air.
What was your childhood phone number? Is it still your phone number?
My
Your
parents
parents'
still-
phone number?
yes.
Okay, so don't say it on the air.
842.
203-268-7096. Childhood home. Matt Stolman's
Nice book.
was 268-6628. My dad in New York was 212-258-8058. That's probably all that I... Oh, and I know Megan, Mike's girlfriend's number. But it might still be her number. I don't know.
Who?
Megan from Jersey. Girl I dated from Jersey through most of college. Like 2 years of college.
What's her last name?
I'm not going to say.
Might?
What?
Did you say Megamite?
No, her last name is not Might.
I'm pretty sure you just said, Megamite's number.
No.
Pretty sure that's what you said.
No. 867-530. Okay. That's what we...
Do you know this, by the way?
That's
let
what
me
we
let
do
me
today
just
on the
interject.
graphics.
Here's my hero of the
Okay.
week. I know we already gave it out,
Yeah.
but let me tell you this. There's some guy in like Arizona at his grocery store. You got to register, like he wanted the loyalty card. Mm-hmm. I think it was actually at a gas station grocery store. So he registered his phone number as 867-5309 because every time you type it in, and he did it because he knew
People would be using that, so
right.
he's piling
so
up
this
the
guy got
rewards.
like 1 million mile points,
Yeah.
and finally they're like, "All right, man, we got to call
Yeah,
up the
that's
dog
not
show."
bad.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant, right?
That's not bad. Well, it's like the Seinfeld episode where wouldn't she give out a number that said Noah Lane? It was like 212 Noah
Right.
Lane or something.
Well, she also got the wrong area code one time.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's funny stuff for sure. Mortgages, refinancing, pre-approval, our friends at Bailey and Wood Financial Group, 855-350-HOME. Let's do Love That Play while we're on the Pacers topic and piggyback off of that. As Jake mentioned, have been in business for over 100 years, 353-2141
They're
to
the
get your
best.
furnace or AC, and you're probably using both still at this point of the year. Get those serviced with our friends at Love Heating and Cooling. I know the Andrew Nembhard 3 is obvious, right? It's one of the biggest shots in Pacers history. It's right up there with, Rick Smits against Orlando or Travis Best in the first
It was
round
big.
against Milwaukee, or any number of Reggie Miller plays. But I really think the Miles Turner chase down block. Game was tied at that point. It was 102
That's
all.
fair.
It was a broken play. Halliburton kind of turned it over, got up in the air, and Hart's going to the basket. 90% of the time when Josh Hart's going to the basket, he's scoring. And it just kind of, I think, puts an exclamation point on just how good Miles Turner has been in these playoffs for the Pacers. And a guy that's had to wait a long time, and he's been through it all, man. I mean, he's been through the Paul George trade. He's been through the Oladipo stuff. He's been through the rebuild. Him and Domas, Nate Bjorgren, like all of the bad stuff of the Pacers of the last 10 years. Miles Turner has had to sit in it and wear it. And some of his own criticism from the fan base, from everybody. He's been a constant trade target and trade rumor guy. And for him to respond the way that he's done so far in this postseason and also put together a moment that people are going to remember for him, Miles Turner's really kind of adding, I think, to his Pacers legacy. We don't think of him that way, but he's been here a decade now.
I know.
Which is crazy.
And it's entirely possible he'll play his entire career as an Indiana Pacer.
Yeah, I mean, he's got another year left on his deal, right? Which still is, I think, a bargain considering what he brings to the table. And Pacers will reevaluate from there. But even then, he'll only be 29, right? They drafted him when he was 19, for God's sake. But that chase down block, just a huge, huge play. And I think it belongs, if you're going to mention the Nembhard 3, I think you have to mention the Turner block.
That's fair.
I think those two things
especially
have to go together.
to your point, and they're both fitting of one another because the Turner block is coming off of, as you said, like a career where he's always kind of been chasing some sort of or it's for whatever reason the love for him has been slower than for other players. Nembhard in the game when he hit that 3, that was a game where he was chasing it the whole game. I mean, he was not good the whole game, and then boom, in the moment he needed to be. Turner's been good the majority of his career, don't get me wrong, but he has games where people get down on him.
Yeah. I just like Nembhard is the classic example of the type of guy that you need if you're going to contend.
Yeah.
Just he's not afraid of the moment. He's tough. He's a bulldog of a player. Even when he doesn't have it, he's going to give you everything that he has. I love Nembhard. I mean, I think he's just
he's a steal,
like,
man.
Is he ever going to be an all-star? No, probably not, but like he's the exact type of guy you need. I'm not going to say glue guy or anything like that, but you reach into the cliche bin and that's your guy.
If you were a diehard New York Knicks fan, if you're 15-year-old Derek Schultz, what Pacer do you most hate?
Oh, McConnell. I mean, that one's easy. I don't even have to hesitate.
Right?
Yeah, I don't even have to hesitate. It's definitely
the way
McConnell.
he's pumping up the crowd.
Yeah, but like outside of that, I mean, how do you not like the way Toppin plays, right? And Nembhard and Nesmith are just tough. I don't think anybody dislikes Miles Turner.
Toppin looks like, physically speaking, I can't place it, but he doesn't have a huge neck, and then he has the hair back. He looks like some sort of, like, not mythical figure or some sort of a movie villain, but I can't place what it is. It's not one of the bad guys from Superman, but somebody's got to help me out here. Obi Toppin has the physical appearance of some sort of, like,
villain?
Yeah, like a Greek character. I can't place it.
Let me think of all the Greek characters that.
I hated Greek mythology.
That's a tough one.
But there's some sort of a cartoon like character villain that he looks like kind of leaning forward and like, I don't know. Okay, do you remember the one year, Derek? This is going on the way back. Hold on. Do you remember the 1 year that IndyCar did? Now, help me out here because you're going to remember it because we made fun of it at the time. IndyCar decided to do like a season champion trophy in 2013 with Dario Franchitti, and it had the guy on it that was like leaning forward and had the wings coming off of him. That's what he. Let me look.
What did they call that thing?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but what was
that's
it called?
What I'm talking. I don't know.
They had a name for it.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Just because he had no neck, there's lots of people who have no neck. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even think Toppin necessarily has no neck. I think he's a handsome guy, and an unbelievable athlete. So I don't think he looks like a Greek no neck IndyCar trophy supervillain. I mean,
hold on.
I don't know.
I'm looking up.
Depends on I guess what your viewpoint is. While Jake does that, let's talk a little bit about Caitlin Clark. Her WNBA debut will be Tuesday night in Connecticut, taking on the Sun at 7:30, which I know isn't the best timing considering the Pacers-Knicks game is also that night. Clark struggled with her shot, had a couple of highlight reel plays, but struggled with her shot in the 2 preseason games, 10 of 27 from the field, 7 of 22 from 3. But it just feels like her impact has been exactly what has been advertised. And I understand that it's not just her for this, but the fact that the league announces chartered flights the first week that she's a member of the league, it just feels like things are already in motion and they're rapidly accelerating for the WNBA and for interest. And we saw the ratings for the WNBA draft. I mean, my nephew in Vermont asked us for to send a Caitlin Clark shirt.
Really? I believe it.
I bet you anything. I don't even know if my nephew in Vermont, he's 8 years old, has any idea that the Indiana Pacers exist.
Really?
Yeah, like I don't know if he even cares, or that he can name a Pacer. And I know Halliburton's kind of a big deal, but it just shows where she is. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what her first season has in store, and not only what it means for her and for the Fever, but for that league and continuing to elevate that league. So you don't have to, you and I were having a discussion last night because we talk all the time because we're best friends about how you have to navigate on ESPN.com just to get to IndyCar, where you have to click on like 18 different tabs, right? Because IndyCar doesn't have a dedicated tab. It's like buried in there.
Right.
WNBA is the same way. Like if I go to my app, my score checking app, I've got to go to other sports and then I hit WNBA. You wonder if Caitlin Clark's going to take them off the other tab.
It feels that way, Derek. One of the things that I'm going to repeat this again that I think is going to be interesting to watch is Caitlin Clark clearly is a dynamic player and has shown already that she is going to be a straw mixing the drink for the Fever. But Aaliyah Boston is a dynamic low-post scorer. The things that made Caitlin Clark unique and dynamic and a star in college, she is a very underappreciated passer. Yeah. She has a very almost subtle court vision that you don't even notice just in terms of her ability to get the ball to people, right? And that's what's going to be asked of her for the Fever. But the thing that made her a star in college that people loved seeing was the pull-up Steph Curry 35-foot three.
Yeah.
And the crossover dribble, step back, pop a three, and you're like, oh my gosh, like this girl can hit from anywhere. But the Fever don't need her to do that. So all of the attention, all of the viewership, all of the ticket sales of people that want to see this phenomenon, and it is a Taylor Swift level phenomenon. But the people that want to see that, as a professional, her role is a little bit different than that. And the other part she does just as well, and it facilitates winning just as much, but it probably is not as eye-popping in terms of the way it looks. And so I'm curious to see how people accept that.
Yeah, I think the passing will translate right well. I think the scoring will probably take a little bit longer.
I mean, she scored already well, but I'm just saying,
it's hard. It's going to be difficult, whereas the passing, I think, just is going to come natural, especially when you have Aaliyah Boston and
right.
Alyssa Smith and all these other players that are easy to pass to because they're great scorers. We come back on the show. We'll talk a little racing. We've got quick hits to get to, including the NBA. Wasn't it great to watch the NBA draft lottery and not see the Pacers card? Wasn't that nice? I don't know. Like,
here's
the
thing,
unique.
Though. Atlanta wins the number one overall pick, and you're like, and who's the number one player this year?
Yeah, some dude from France or something. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what it's going to be? It looks like it's going to be a really weak draft, but we'll talk about all that when we come back. It's Corey and Schultz presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Welcome back. Hi, Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Thanks to JD and to Sean for filling in. Our ISC crew very busy this week. They've got the NAIA softball tournament. They actually have a busy summer coming up. Indiana-Kentucky All-Stars right around the corner, and they got a Pete Dye golf event coming up here. All kinds of stuff happening. And then obviously the Indianapolis Indians.
Are you a golfer?
No, I'm not.
Have you ever golfed?
Oh, yeah. I golfed a lot in high school. And then when I'd go back to Connecticut, I'd golf with buddies. And I'd golf with my dad. My dad had a torn meniscus in like 2012 and never got it repaired because it's my dad and he just doesn't take care of himself when it comes to – he takes care of everybody else. And so he doesn't really golf anymore, and because of that, I don't golf. And my friends got really good. Like my friends are – I have a lot of friends that are in like sales and in tech.
Right.
And all they do is golf all week. They go out on the golf course and they have like $300 steak dinners and they golf, and that's their job. So they're all really good.
So if you went right now and played 18 holes, what would you shoot?
Oh, I don't know. If I broke 100, I'd be real happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I've never been a good golfer. I always liked to play because I kind of knew that I sucked, so I didn't really get that frustrated.
Right.
But I'd say the best version of me golfing-wise was 17. I probably played once a week when I was 17.
Okay.
But we'd walk on. So we wouldn't play.
Walk on.
We'd play like 15 holes.
What do you mean walk on?
Tashua Knolls Golf Course, on the third hole, it was behind there was a house back there, and you could park on the street. Was that Fairchild? I was trying to remember what street that was.
I mean, it's not like we're stopping by.
In Trumbull, and you hop the rock fence, and then they had cut open the fence. There was a rock wall, and then there was a fence that somebody had cut open, some good Samaritan, and you just pull your clubs on, and you just walk on that third tee, and it was great. So I guess we'd play 16 holes. You just walk on that third tee, and the Rangers were never over there because it was kind of at the bottom of the hill. You were actually shooting uphill. It was a little par 3, and that's where we'd start, and then we'd round back around.
Yeah, that would not be fun because you would be the entire time worried about somebody coming.
Well, we wouldn't go Saturday at 2 p.m. You'd go Wednesday at 6:30. That was a good time to go.
Okay.
We were usually finishing up at like dusk. And then we used to walk on and fish, and then they'd chase us off. But we'd go, they would stock the pond, so we'd fish.
What's the name of this golf course?
Out there as well. Tashua Knolls.
Hold on.
Knolls. It was a nice Tashua. Tashua.
Was this a private club?
No. Public course. Trumbull, Connecticut.
Wait a minute. It's a public course, and you still were cheating your way on it. How much were you saving?
I think it was $20, $25.
Okay.
Something like that. We would never get a cart.
Okay.
So we just walk it the whole way.
There it is. Tashua Knolls and Tashua Glen.
Tashua. Sorry, it's the pronunciation.
Tashua.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous saying Tashua. It sounds weird.
Okay.
First time I ever got drunk on that third hole.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry if my dad's listening right now. But we walked on to the third
$20, Derek. You saved $20.
Yeah.
So how much was it back then? 12.
I remember it being $20.
Well, it's still 20.
I remember it being $20. Yeah, but it was a nice course.
Oh, here's the interesting. It's got a map of the course.
Yeah.
And here's the this is interesting. The third hole, the Derek Schultz Memorial Vomit spot.
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you get drunk on?
No, I'm not going to mention that.
How old were you?
I'm not going to mention that either.
Why not?
Because I don't want to.
Zima? Was it Zima?
I don't want to.
Was it Zima? Did you throw up the Zima?
It may or may not have been Zima. I may or may not have been 15.
Okay.
Let's do our winner of the week.
All right.
Just like me when I was 15, big winner.
Yeah, clearly.
Only 13 days away from the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500, and a guy that is going to be at the top of the list as one of the favorites, and one that has been pound for pound the best driver in the series probably the last 3 years, really ever since he entered. I mean, he's been so good. Alex Palou does it again, right? Second straight win on the road course.
Impressive.
7th win in his last 18 races with how competitive this series is right
now.
now.
He's right now, if I'm not mistaken, in the all-time wins list amongst active drivers. So the wins amongst active drivers. Scott Dixon, number 1, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Second is Will Power. Third is Joseph Newgarden. And fourth is Alex Palou.
Wow.
I'm certain that's correct.
He's 24?
Yeah, I mean, he's really good.
Yeah.
And once he gets out to a lead, it's over. The guy just does not make mistakes. And he was so precise in that race. You know, it was through a pit strategy that kind of got him back up to the front, but he started on pole.
Sorry, he's 27, but still, yeah.
I mean, he's really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's an incredible driver. You're exactly right about that.
Became a father for the first time in December. He and his wife had a baby, and babies at every race. You know, he travels and carries a little baby cart, and good guy, quiet guy.
Yeah.
But a real favorite for the 500.
And kind of went through it with the whole, like,
he did.
You know, controversy over the contract and things like that, and has come out the other side and has maintained where he was. So, you know, Palou's on the short list of guys that you would pick to win that race.
Yeah, for sure.
I think coming up on Sunday. So congratulations to Alex Palou. WinnersDrinkMilk.com. And a week from Tuesday.
Right here, Derek.
Yes. Milk toast.
Chocolate milk, by the way, the perfect post-workout beverage.
It is not our fault that these are empty. Greg is usually here. Greg is the milkman for the show.
Derek.
Greg had a previous commitment. And you just can't ask
I talked to Jenny Brooke.
Sean, you just can't.
I talked to Jenny, Brooke, and Sally this week. All three of them said, is Derek bringing the milk? Yes.
Yeah, you can't ask Sean.
Chocolate
Sean's
milk,
just
by the
gonna
way,
let you
after
down.
a workout. Think about this. As much protein as a hard-boiled egg.
Yep.
As much potassium as a banana, as much vitamin
10
A
cups
as
of
2 cups of spinach. I think it's 2.
Oh, it is? Well, still,
But
that's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of spinach.
And, of course, the natural great taste that goes with milk. And it's the greatest tradition in all of sports. We're just a couple of weeks away from seeing who will take the swig of milk that signifies they have won the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. The American Dairy Association of Indiana is ready for that. And, of course, you folks should be ready each and every morning when you have your glass of milk with breakfast or at dinner to begin or end your day. Now, Derek, in addition to that, we are going to be working again, right?
Yeah. Week from Tuesday will be the fastest rookie luncheon at the Speedway in the Pagoda Plaza. What is that? The Gallagher Pavilion? I think the one that's to the left.
That sounds right.
I think that's right. I think actually I think we're on the one on the right.
Do you?
So not the Gallagher Pavilion, the other one. The bigger room.
And you're doing it too, right?
Yeah, you and me. Co-MC.
Monday night, be a rough sleep night.
I don't know why you're that way. You always do great. Trust me, I hear from
So
everybody.
what day of the week are we doing the show that week?
Oh, good question. Yeah, wow, good question. We might have to do like a Wednesday show next week. I don't know when we're going to do it. Cuz we can't do it. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll have to talk. Thank you for bringing that up. We'll have to talk about that. Because I would not have thought about that.
Do you folks see who we haven't covered a single thing in sports in this show, but what we've covered
I
is
would not have thought about that.
Who the brains of the operation is.
Okay, sports.
And
I
who's the one
sports.
yakking up Zima at the age of 15?
I have some sports. Here's some sports. Quick hits. The Atlanta Hawks have the number 1 pick for the first time in 44 years. Do you know who they drafted number 1 the last time they had it?
Excellent
1975. Question. Think about tremendous college players.
Okay,
from the
let me
70s.
ask you this. Did this player have any career of note as a Hawk?
No.
Did they have any?
I don't think he actually played as a Hawk.
Okay. David Thompson?
Yeah. Because he went to the ABA, and then the Nuggets became the NBA
Gotcha,
team,
okay.
and then he stuck with the Nuggets, but then he had injury, he had drug issues.
He did, yeah.
And was just, kind of like a Ralph Sampson-y kind of career where he was good. He just was never great, but because he was such a great college player, he ended up in the Hall of Fame too. Atlanta had just a 3% chance, so only 4 lottery winners in NBA history have had worse chances than Atlanta.
What were they?
Kyrie in the Cleveland, Derrick Rose in the Bulls, the Magic the second time with Penny,
Yep.
well Weber, and then
yeah.
turned it into Penny, and I'm missing one.
San Antonio one of those times?
No, because San Antonio had, I think, like a 6 or 7% chance last year. I don't think San Antonio was one of the other ones. I know you had him on your show, but congrats to Pat Knight.
Yep.
Taking the Marion job.
Love Pat.
Last coach 10 years ago at Lamar. We had him on the show. Remember, he took him to the NCAA tournament his first year, and then things kind of went south after that. But had most recently been a scout for the Pacers.
Pat came on the radio show before that was announced, actually, to talk about, and I was appreciative of it, but also I thought he was extremely honest in talking about his father's dementia and Alzheimer's, and said that Bob Knight didn't recognize him for the last 3 years of his life. Didn't know Pat.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Pat, how publicly he has been with this, but I can tell you, part of the reason why Pat Knight wanted to come back and take that job at Marion, number one, his mom's here in Indiana. But number two, I think he wants to do a significant amount of awareness and fundraising for the Alzheimer's Association of Indiana. So I think that's a big initiative of it, and I think he'll do a lot of good work with that. But a good guy. Really
and
good
obvious connections to Steve Downing, right?
Yeah.
Because of the Indiana stuff. And I think it's a level, all those athletic programs at Marion are high level, like national contenders. Their women's basketball program has been tremendous, volleyball, their cycling team, a bunch of others. So we'll see. And then and basketball's been good. Scott Heddy, this is how Indiana this cycle is. So the UIndy coach, Paul Casaro, goes to IUPUI, right?
IUIndy.
And IUIndy, which will be IUIndy. And then Heddy goes from Marion to UIndy, and then Pat Knight goes from Pacer Scout to – so it's like kind of an all-Indiana domino effect, and this kind of completes the this ends the links in the chain,
Right.
I guess, for that happening. Finally, in quick hits, an Australian man sent over 20,000 complaints living under a flight path in Western Australia. According to data provided by the Air Services Australia Group, the unidentified person from Perth complained about the sound of overflying aircraft 20,716 times last year. There were 51,589 complaints total. So nearly half of the complaints was one person who lives under the flight path.
Well, he should have called Bailey and Wood and gotten a new home.
I mean, 20,700. There are 365 days in a year. So how many complaints is that? That's at least 5 complaints a day, right? That's like 6 complaints a day.
No.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's more than that. You're right. It's 6, yeah.
Yeah, so let me do the exact math.
That's right.
Here. I got a calculator here on my phone. All right, 2716 divided by 365. Wait, I pressed the wrong button. 2716 divided by 365. 56 complaints a day?
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, that'd be right. Because
Yeah.
if it's 7, that would be 21. That'd be 2,500.
Wow, so we were way off. Okay.
So,
Yeah, 56
5 an
complaints
hour?
a day. There are 24 hours in a day.
In a 12-hour day. If he gets up at 8
Um,
and he goes to bed at 8, he's calling
You
5
just
times an
on
hour.
your computer the whole time just doing this? Like, I don't know.
What
I don't know how
did
that
they
works.
start? Did they reroute planes?
It doesn't sound like they did any. This poor fella in Perth, they didn't do anything for him. They said, "You're on your own, pal." We come back on the show, Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bull Bleep, and we will wrap up this episode 186 of Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do. From Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hi there, we're back. My name is Jake Query. That's Derek Schultz. The Pacers and Knicks are in the playoffs. The Indy 500 is in a couple of weeks, and Caitlin Clark's getting ready to start. That's basically what we've covered, right?
Yeah, I guess we didn't
Derek
have to do a
kicked
full
on a
hour
golf
of the show.
course. Never actually paid to
No.
golf. Doesn't
I did
golf
pay to
at
golf.
all. No.
There were times I paid to golf when I was with my dad or.
Then your dad paid.
Oh yeah, no, I never actually paid money. Yeah, my dad would cover that
Shocker.
for me, just like my school tuition. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate that. I appreciate all the work that Chateau Kitchens has done on my house. ChateauKitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures. Anything on the interior of your home. I know it says kitchens in the name, but kitchens, bathrooms, even basements. Chateau Kitchens can transform your space. You want a new wet bar? Chateau Kitchens can do that. Beautiful countertops, beautiful cabinetry. The absolute best craftsmanship and work comes from my friends at Chateau Kitchens. So please give them a call for your next home renovation project or visit them online, chateaukitchens.com. They still have the Mouse Pals Visionary of the Year fundraiser going on for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So if you want to check that out, Derek at QueryandSchultz.com. And we have a QR code that I can share with you later on that can help with that. I can email that over to you. Buy it or Bull Bleep. Here's what we do. I give a statement, Jake, and I go back and forth whether we buy it or it's Bull Bleep. Statement number 1, Jake, the NBA championship is wide open. Buy it or Bull Bleep?
I buy that. I do think that Boston has an advantage because I think they're going to win the East.
Yeah, me too.
And, probably I think there's more rigor coming out of the West. The series that you don't hear anything about is Oklahoma City and Dallas, right?
Yeah.
But Denver looks like they've kind of turned up the wick. That's a good series, Denver and Minnesota.
And Oklahoma City, Dallas is becoming a good series.
It is.
Denver and Minnesota's been interesting. There's never been – the road team has never won all 7 games in an NBA series. Actually happened in a World Series in baseball. The Nationals-Astros series, the road team won every game. Never happened in the NBA, and you've already had 4.
Has it happened in the NHL?
I don't know. Probably the NHL has the most
NHL's weird,
fluky
right?
results
You're
because
right.
it's hockey. Hockey's there's a lot more randomness in hockey.
Of the 4 sports, which one does home advantage mean the least?
Would
it be hockey?
Or baseball, I would say.
Well, baseball, you at least get the bat last.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think home field matters as really it's almost negligible in baseball, I think. I think it would clearly be.
But baseball, you bat last. Like
yeah,
there's a.
That's fair. I think basketball would be 1. Football would be 2. Baseball 3. Hockey 4. How about that? Even though, I don't know, those amped up arenas. But hockey is just, there's a randomness to hockey where you just don't know. It's wide open because I think you'd give even odds just about to Boston, Denver, Oklahoma City, even Dallas, I think would all be kind of in the same mix.
Are you still surprised, as I am, that nobody has taken me up on my idea of putting in a big-time hockey matchup a sumo wrestler as goaltender?
Put him in goal. Just have all that flab block the pucks. I don't know why they don't do that.
I mean, they're supposed to move around anyway. They're
Statement 2. This will end up being the worst NBA draft ever. Bite or bull bleep.
I mean, I don't know anything about this.
Me neither.
It's so hard to say, Derek, because we see players for 1 year in college, right?
And these international guys, I have no idea who any of these guys are. I have no idea. Like, if you were to tell me this was the best group of international players ever, I'd believe you because I have no idea.
Do you remember the international invasion, though, like in 03, 04, and it was like Nikolai Skidavili and,
Darko.
Yeah. And, who was the one that Christian Velp? Was that the one that had the, like, smoking hot girlfriend and, like, he became a sensation?
Yeah, and then there was a guy named Jan Vesely. That had
right.
a really beautiful, like, supermodel girlfriend, and he was out of the league in, like, 2 years. Yeah. It was terrible. Washington, I think, is who, not surprisingly, right? Look at how Washington has drafted over the years. Final statement, John Calipari will get to a Final Four at Arkansas. Bite or bull bleep?
I'll buy that.
I'm going to buy it, too.
I always kind of liked Arkansas.
I think he's going to hang on until he does it. Like, he strikes me as the one that wants to prove that his.
I didn't realize that Matt Jones fella down there in Kentucky that you did the fantasy camp with.
Yeah,
I didn't know that he and Calipari had some falling out.
Oh, they did.
I ran into Andrew Kappas this weekend who told me that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, Andrew was at the track for the first time this week. I love Andrew. He's a great guy.
Yep.
He and Cal, because you got to call him Cal if you're down there in Kentucky. Cal. Yeah, I like Cal, but it's time for the cats to move on.
So what do they call? What do they call Pope?
Yeah, I don't know.
Pope?
Yeah, probably. I don't think that's going to work there.
You don't think so?
No. I think Pope is several tiers lower than the coach that Kentucky. But then again, everybody that's ever outside of Gillespie, everybody that goes to Kentucky wins. Everybody.
Well, of course.
Everybody wins. Well, yeah, but it's not so easy. Just Indiana has every advantage in the world, and not everybody that's gone to Indiana has won. We know that.
True.
Right? Thanks to our great sponsors, Hoagies and Hops, American Dairy Association Indiana, Chateau Kitchens, Chili Water Brewing, Bailey & Wood Financial Group, and Love Heating and Cooling. For Jake Query, I'm Derek Schultz. Good luck to the Pacers, and we will see you next time on a date still TBD for episode 187.
That's to be determined.
Yeah, because we don't know when the show's going to be next week. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Have a great week, you guys. Bye.
At Bailey & Wood, we
Ultimate Wi-Fi experience, you need a managed day to get started.